This podcast is an invitation to feel and experience the souls of famous old Hollywood homes and to have an in-depth journey to the areas where they're located through interviews with longtime residents. Either you're a fan of old Hollywood in Los Angeles, planning to have a vacation, or, an even bigger step, considering a certain area for your future home. This is your opportunity to receive valuable information and insightful advice you won't find anywhere else.
Hello, and welcome to my podcast. Are you in the mood for California? Today we'll feel and experience Oakland, featuring an interview with the remarkable Fanny Ara.
Obviously, America is very different from France or Spain or Europe in general. I was blown away when I came here, quite frankly. It's a different type of life, for sure. But I just felt a sense of freedom when I came here, which I did not feel back in Europe for some reason. I know in Europe, we live the life very smoothly and we have time for everything. Here we don't. But I was kind of fascinated by that, how life is lived to the fullest here. So that was the biggest cultural shock. And then I was very excited to be around people from all over the world, which I did not have that back in Europe.
Masha Korpacheva is a California-based realtor and a member of the National Association of Realtors in Los Angeles. She's an advocate for selling and buying homes with soul and practicing mindfulness in real estate. With master's degrees in spiritual psychology and linguistics, Masha brings all of her skills to work with her clients. An intuit and empath, she has touched many lives with her outstanding ability to see beyond the visible and helping to come to better understanding of issues and their resolutions. An adventurous world traveler, from climbing Mount Kilimanjaro in Tanzania to exploring the Galapagos Islands, Masha has a particular passion for the City of Angels. Having landed in this paradise and adopted it as her home, she's been sharing old Hollywood stories since 2007. In the mood for California, feel the soul of old Hollywood.
And now, are you ready to experience Oakland? In the 19th century, Oakland was a place of dreams and transformations. Long before its founding by Horace Carpentier, Edson Adams, and Andrew Moon, the Ohlone people flourished here, drawn by the abundant shell mounds and the majestic oak trees that gave the city its name. The city's growth was intertwined with the California gold rush, which brought not only fortune seekers, but also a booming demand for redwood lumber. The towering redwoods of the Oakland Hills, some as wide as 20 feet in diameter, became a navigational landmark for ships entering San Francisco Bay. Sadly, by 1860, the entire forest had been logged, leaving behind what is now the smaller Redwood Regional Park. Oakland's early leaders faced challenges head-on. Mayor Samuel Merritt oversaw the transformation of a foul-smelling tidal estuary into Lake Merritt, a jewel that became the United States' first official wildlife refuge in 1870. The lake was so beloved that in 1917, the Necklace of Lights was installed around its shores, making it one of the first electrically lit public spaces in the world. The city's rise was also fueled by its strategic location. The Central Pacific Railroad constructed the Oakland Long Wharf, the western terminus of the Transcontinental Railroad, solidifying Oakland as a major rail hub. The wharf, now the site of the Port of Oakland, was instrumental in Oakland's development into the gateway to the Pacific. Oakland's transportation network further expanded with the Key System, a visionary transit system that included electric streetcars, commuter trains, and even ferries to San Francisco. Francis Borax Smith, who consolidated Oakland's streetcar lines, also developed amusement parks and hotels, including the opulent Claremont Resort, which still stands today. Natural disasters tested Oakland's resilience. The 1906 earthquake brought thousands of refugees from San Francisco, doubling Oakland's population overnight. The city's response included the construction of the Oakland Civic Auditorium, which later served as an emergency ward during the 1918 flu pandemic. Through these challenges, Oakland emerged stronger, embracing its diverse population and cultural vibrancy. Today, Oakland's history is a testament to its ability to reinvent itself from its indigenous roots to its pivotal role in the development of California and the West Coast. And here we are. Welcome to Oakland. I'm so thrilled to have Fanny Ara here with me. Fanny Ara is an internationally sought after and award-winning choreographer, performer, and instructor. Her most dedicated worldwide fans especially credit her as one of the driving forces of flamenco today, an artist excelling in the full spectrum of flamenco, from the most traditional to the avant-garde. Fanny has been an invited artist in national and international festivals and has toured extensively in Canada, Central and South America, the Middle East, Africa, and throughout Europe. She has been distinguished since 2006 with nominations from the Isadora Duncan Dance Awards in the categories of Most Outstanding Individual Dancer, Most Outstanding Music Ensemble, and Individual Performance for her project Juncal Street, and Best Ensemble for her work with the San Francisco Opera in La Traviata. New York Vilcek Foundation also awarded Fanny a prestigious finalist prize for creative promise in dance in 2012. Fanny's versatility in the art form of flamenco is manifested in her many artistic works. As Philip Gardner said of her performance at the Joyce Theater in New York City, "My newest love is Fanny Ara. The captivating, expressive qualities of Fanny's upper body mesmerized us, while her footwork dazzled both the eye and the ear. She soared into the uppermost echelon of dance artists I have witnessed over the years." Her latest productions, 2019 with Tattooed and 2024 with Lilith, as an artistic director, choreographer, and dancer, were reviewed as a triumph of artistry and self-actualization, where the ovation was immediate, standing, vociferous, prolonged. Please check out her website, www.fannyara.com. Fanny will share with us what it feels like to live in Oakland. Hello, Fanny.
Hello.
Oh, so excited to have you with me today. I was really looking forward to our conversation.
Yes, me too. Thank you for having me.
Of course, of course. So you live in Oakland, and it is really known for its stunning bay views, parklands, open spaces and supposedly great weather and rich cultural scene. And of course, this proximity to the Pacific Ocean. So maybe you could share with me what it actually feels like to live in Oakland and how it compares to your experience growing up in Europe.
Right. So I grew up in Europe. I grew up in France, and then I moved to Spain. And so when I first came to America, I came to San Francisco. So I moved to Oakland about 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So really the first cultural shock was in San Francisco.
Okay.
Obviously, America is very different from France or Spain or Europe in general. I was blown away when I came here, quite frankly. It's a different type of life, for sure. But I just felt a sense of freedom when I came here, which I did not feel back in Europe for some reason. I know in Europe, we live the life very smoothly and we have time for everything. Here we don't. But I was kind of fascinated by that, how life is lived to the fullest here. So that was the biggest cultural shock. And then I was very excited to be around people from all over the world, which I did not have that back in Europe because I'm from a very small town in France. And then when I moved to Spain, I moved to Sevilla and Granada and then Madrid. And it didn't feel like I was surrounded by so many different culture and different way of thinking and different way of just living. So I was fascinated. And that's why I actually stayed here because I still feel this way on an everyday basis. And then when I moved to Oakland, well, Oakland is it's a city, I will call it very raw. When I moved here, because back then already San Francisco was getting expensive, all the artists would move to Oakland. So Oakland became about 10 years ago, where the artists will gather. That was amazing. Well, now since COVID, it has changed quite a bit. So the artist had to move out of here too, because it got really expensive. But Oakland has a feeling of, it's just raw. It's pure, it's raw. It can be angry. It can be open. It's up and down.
Yes.
But yes, I love living here. Yes.
Wow. So, Fanny, what was the biggest surprise that you had when you moved to the Bay Area?
How people were very nice. That was another cultural shock. I remember taking the metro and everybody was talking to each other. Again, we're talking 20 years ago when there were no cell phones and nothing like this. But I just remember people smiling and then, kind of this little European girl living in California. You've got this little dream of what California is. And I felt like I was in the movies.
Yes.
Let's put it that way. So It was, I don't know. I was just fascinated by everything. Everything is big. Everything is in your face. And it was just, and people were so nice. And people smile. People say hi. People ask you how you're doing. People are very interested in what you have to say. They want to share experiences, which I did not feel back in Europe.
Right. Well, that's a very, very nice surprise to wake up to. Very interesting. So what about, maybe some of your biggest challenges upon your move? Like, what did you experience as far as a challenge?
Being French, I was I would say what's in my mind, which is not very typical for Californians to do. Everybody is very polite. Everybody is very politically correct. And I had a really hard time being that way because I was doing something and I would directly tell you how I feel and what I thought about something. And it's still to this day, 20 years later, it's pretty difficult for me to get that way. Because, for example, like when I went to New York, I feel very together with New York. The East Coast people are way more in your face, as I say. But California is just very gentle. Let's put it that way.
Polite and nice and smiling.
Right. So I had a hard time with that. To just not be able to speak my mind.
Okay. Interesting. Now that you have lived in the Bay Area for 20 years, you definitely have like some of your favorite places. And maybe you can share some of your favorite places in Oakland, like such as restaurants or store, maybe coffee shops. Maybe some parks.
Well, guess what? Everything that I loved here has closed since COVID.
Oh.
So I used to go out all the time. I had great places to go out to. I used to love going to places where they had live music, and on Wednesday night I will go every night to this jamming place, and I would see incredible artists just jam all night. This kind of life we don't have anymore here. Everything has closed. So I can't really tell you. I mean, the only thing that remains is a favorite bar that I have that used to have live music. They don't anymore. It's Van Cleef. It was actually by a French guy, but that's the only place that remains open. It's like in San Francisco also, I had the Club Deluxe. It was a jazz bar and it was fantastic. And that close to, it's just San Francisco and the whole Bay Area really got hit big time. So restaurants, or cafes or places where you had live music, they all shut down. So I actually don't go out there much because I haven't found something that caught my eye since COVID. So yeah, and again, I'm never here. So it's not like I have time to look around. But yeah. And then I live by the Lake Merritt and it's nice to go there and, you know. But yeah, everything closed. Every little places that I like to go to, they couldn't make it. So yeah, it's very sad.
It is very sad. No, I agree. But at least you still have flamenco in your heart, and your journey in flamenco has really taken you around the world. And you've actually been described as one of the driving forces of flamenco today. So what do you believe sets your artistic expression apart from others in the field?
So yes, so it was always a question that I asked myself because I live all the way from California. Flamenco is in Spain. So when I'm called in South America or Europe, all these places, I always ask, you guys are so close to Spain, especially right when I go to Europe or when I went to Russia or Armenia, all these places. I'm like, why do you call me? I live so far away. And I think my career just took off the day I decided to do the flamenco. I didn't want to look like anybody else or say, okay, I have to look Spanish. I have to do exactly what the Spaniards do. And once I understood that flamenco is an art form that normally you do it from a very early age, and I did not. And I was not listening to flamenco when I was young, so I was listening to everything. And I used to be a classical pianist, so I was very in touch with classical music or jazz or also a lot of rock and all of that. So when I decided to put the flamenco vocabulary on other music, it looked like all those people that are not from Spain wanted my take on it because they felt that they recognized whatever I was doing. They recognized themselves in it. And that's pretty much how my career started because I was pretty much talking the same language to them.
Right.
You know? So I think that's what people really like having me around. Yeah, it's just to not force yourself to not be yourself, because once you're like, okay, I can't, there is no point of me trying to be someone else just because it's called flamenco and it's from Spain. Now, I am a flamenco dancer. I trained many years in Spain with the best, and this is my take on it. So once you're at peace with it and you make your work about it, then it really reflects on people. So yeah, I didn't know that was going to be that way. It just came naturally. But that really spoke so much to all those people around the world. So I am very glad I chose that path for sure.
Right. I like how you say the vocabulary of flamenco, because when I was speaking to you a few weeks ago, you did tell me that you actually specifically said, I speak flamenco. And I think it's this specific language that you created, dancing flamenco to various types of music. And that's why it resonates with all these different people. It's almost like you created something so brand new, and at the same time, something that can resonate with everyone.
Yeah. I'm very lucky. I feel very lucky that, but again, I think that if you're in any kind of art form, if you really do it the way you feel it, 100%, that it's you and from your heart and from your soul, and that you have something to say and you do it with complete conviction, it will speak to other people. And I think that's what they felt. So
yes, I definitely feel, certain feelings. And I do have an experience when I watch you dance. It's a very tangible experience. And you are such an incredible artist.
Thank you.
No, thank you. So, Fanny, maybe you could share how you actually started dancing flamenco, because you did mention that you were not doing it from a young age. So how did you get into flamenco?
So back in France, I was doing Spanish classical. So it's like a mix. It's like a folklore. It's a mix of flamenco and ballet. I was 18. I decided to move to Spain and started flamenco. I saw a show and I was like, okay, this is what I want to do. And I took it very seriously. And I was lucky enough to audition and to get to the best schools that were out there at the time. And very, very quickly, I became a professional into that field. So I was very lucky. That's how I started flamenco. It's just, I had Spanish classical, moved there, and like the flamenco people say, you have to live, breathe, eat, drink flamenco. And that's what I did for years. And it just came naturally. So somehow I knew I had to move there and do it. But a lot of people will tell you that flamenco came to you and not you to flamenco. So, and I do truly believe that. Yeah.
Wow, beautiful. So maybe there was some particularly memorable experience from your extensive touring career or from studying flamenco that has had a lasting impact on you as an artist.
What really shocked me, but in a good sense, I guess, I decided back in 2018 to choreograph. So I got the call from a school in Palermo in Sicily. They said, oh, we would like a new choreography. And at that time, I was working on a show about abuse called Tattooed. And it was during the Me Too movement. And I really wanted to do a show that portrayed the life of survivors of abuse. And so when I got that call in Sicily, I was like, let me do a choreography and talk about what I went through abuse. And funny enough, I did that choreography. I was very specific about movement that would reflect an emotion or something that happened to me. And I started to see all the girls crying, and they were dancing and crying, and they were feeling every movement, everything that I was talking about. And I had to sit them down and say, oh my God, what is going on? And that's when I realized that every woman in that room, and we were about 30, were abused at some point. And I was like, okay, I'm touching something very important here. And I guess that was the first time that they could talk about something that happened to them through movement. And so this choreography, I was called to do this choreography in so many other countries. That choreography, I had to teach it for years because people were asking for it. And that blew my mind. I could actually help heal people through a workshop.
Wow.
And for me, that was insane because, usually when you do a workshop and they're all in the same room, they all pretty much know each other, they're friends, but they never actually talked about it. So then after the workshop, we'll have dinner and they all opened up to each other. And it's very sad, but it has some kind of magic in this. And that's really when I understood, wow, a workshop or through art, I really understood that I had a voice and that my voice had to be heard through my art. And that had a huge impact in my career.
Wow, that's incredible. So Tattooed must have become the epitome of, the healing power of dance.
Total, yes, exactly. Yeah. So when I decided to do Tattooed, I was like, okay, let's make it a show, right? So and that took about 1.5 years to put it together, really knowing how to talk about it, what to talk about. And it was very important for me to have people around me that understand that I wanted to talk about it, but I didn't want it to be a dramatic show.
Mm-hmm.
So it was very important for me to put a lot of humor in it, very black humor. Again, that would be my French side that came out. But it was very important because I didn't want to do a show that people were getting out of it like with a heavy heart, right? It was very important for me to have humor and most importantly, hope, and talk about that resilience of, we're not victims, we're survivors. That was the point of it.
Yes.
That was an incredible production. The problem is my production of Tattoo was in October 2019. I was going to tour it, but obviously we all know what happened. COVID happened, and that just I just stopped thinking about it because then I was thinking, oh, maybe I should do it again. But it was never the right time because people after COVID were really depressed and they needed something light. They needed some kind of rejoy. So we have to be very careful also, like when we do a production or when we want to talk about a certain subject, we have to know that the public is open to hear it.
Yes.
So I haven't got the urge to do it again. I don't think we're still ready. But yeah, so but that was career-wise was very impactful for me.
Yes, I can see that.
Yeah, and it all started by talking about it to all my students. And every time I would do a workshop in every country, you see the culture. Everybody is very different. I enter a room in different countries. It's a whole world. And some women or men are having more difficulties, coming out of things. And for some reason, they all resonated very easily with this choreography. And it was super to see that. And because to know that just one little person can have that much impact and through dance, not through words.
Yes, that's incredible.
Right. So I think that they opened up something that they didn't think they could open. And I think I opened a lot of people, and I'm sure they keep on being more open. So that's a great feeling.
Beautiful, beautiful, Fanny. Well, your other project, Juncal Street, received nominations from the Isadora Duncan Dance Awards. So maybe you could also elaborate on the inspiration behind this project, because I'm sure it was, pretty different from the project Tattooed, and maybe you can share like its significance in your career as well.
So that was back in 2012. It was just 6 people. We were 6 of us, 6 people, French, Spaniards, and American, who just got together, and I wanted to do a show that just showed all my cultural and musical inspiration. So it was very rock and roll. It was very jazz. It was very classical. And we just had fun. It was a show without any theme behind, but it was super rock and roll and super fun. And I toured it for 4 years. It was a show that really worked in America for sure, because they were like, oh, wow, rock and roll and flamenco. And they just resonated with it because it was easy to listen. So I didn't put, a very heavy singing or heavy guitar that the normal audience here would not really get. And it was just a fun show, nothing behind it. And I think people loved it because we just had a blast. And it was a show easy for me to tour because I toured in every jazz club in the country. And it was just very little magic, but also we were 6 very good friends and we wanted to rock and roll people for a minute. So
rock and roll and flamenco.
That felt really good. Yeah.
Very nice. Well, your latest work as an artistic director and principal dancer is Lilith. And Lilith is a female symbol of independence. So this is a completely different project yet again. And it has already garnered significant praise. So maybe you could share a little bit about the themes or maybe even messages that you aimed to convey with this production.
Yeah, so Lilith, I had no idea who Lilith was. 2 years ago, I found out who Lilith was. My husband was like, oh my God, I read an article about Lilith, this mythology called Lilith. And it turns out Lilith was actually Adam's first wife, not Eve. And I was like, how can I not know that as a woman, that Eve was not the first wife of Adam? but it was Lilith.
Mm-hmm.
And I became obsessed. I became obsessed with the fact that women don't know. And so then I for like a year, I read about it, and I was very intrigued about why the Bible just took her off. And then I saw that in the 1970s, Lilith was actually the symbol of feminism, which I did not know.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was talking to women around me, and I was like, do you know about Lilith? Do you know this myth? And no one knew. And that really intrigued me. I said that can't be. That can't be that women don't know everything that is written. And already knowing that Lilith was just out of every book, every general culture, I was like, yeah, that's why in 2024, women's rights is still not there.
Mm-hmm.
And I got really obsessed with it. So I wanted to create, I was like, okay, I'm 40. I wanted to create the life of Lilith in my head, what Lilith's life would be if she would have been, around. And so I talked about the 4 decades so from like the moment that you're born to your 40s and what you encounter in your life as a woman. So that's what the show is about. And the message is, when I got 40, I had a sense of complete liberation. I don't know why.
Mm-hmm.
In my art form, as a woman, as just a human being, my 40s just hit me so hard with the sense of freedom. Because I was like, I just don't care about what people think or what I should do or what I should look like. I don't know. There's a sense of freedom. So I made a Lilith that finds her freedom. And it's a message for women. It's a message, and it was bizarre because I did three nights of Lilith. The 3 nights were sold out. It was amazing, and every woman came up to me and just said, "Wow!" They saw themselves in it, because I'm talking again very raw about what a woman's life is.
Mm-hmm.
That people tend to forget about talking what a woman's life is, because if you look at today in America, women's rights are getting smaller and smaller by the day. We're going backwards, and I don't know. I had to say something about it, and I had to educate people of who Lilith is and read about it and understand why we're here today because of stuff like that women don't know.
Mm-hmm.
So it was very interesting for me to look into religion and to look at how things are done to women. It was. I had a blast looking into her and looking into women's perspective through thousands of years. So it was very interesting.
Wow, Fanny, this is just mind-blowing, honestly, that with this incredible vocabulary of flamenco that you created and then bringing it to people, through your dance and thus giving voice, to what women are going through, to the abuse that they lived through, to their possibility of liberation. It is just so poignant, and it is so important right now. And I would like to really thank you for creating this beautiful way of exploring and showing it to women of what is possible for them, because I think this is where the true gift or the true power of healing is, being aware of it and knowing that there is a possibility for it.
Right, definitely. Yes.
So I want to thank you for creating your art and making it so powerful. And I want to thank you for taking the time to have this conversation with me. And I hope that, all of my listeners, and primarily female listeners, will, receive a lot from our conversation today. And it will also show to them that there is always a possibility for healing. There is always a possibility for peace, for freedom, and for becoming the best version of who you are.
Definitely. Yes.
Thank you so much, Fanny. I really appreciate our conversation. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you very much for tuning in to Feel and Experience Oakland with my special guest, Fanny Ara. If you enjoy my podcast, In the Mood for California, please sign up for future episodes at your preferred platform and please leave your feedback. I really appreciate your time and support. You can follow me on Instagram at In the Mood for California and check out my website www.inthemoodforcalifornia.com. I'm a realtor with Beverly & Company Luxury Properties, and my license number is 019-78714. Selling and buying homes with soul is not just my real estate strategy. It is an intuitive and holistic approach that embraces your values, aspirations, and conscious intentions. If you want to discover the power of mindfulness in your real estate journey with my compassionate guidance, I'm here for you. Next time, we're time traveling to the vibrant streets of Los Angeles in the 60s, 70s, and 80s with a very special insider who lived through it all. Get ready for an unforgettable journey through this iconic era. Stay tuned.
In the Mood for California. Feel the soul of old Hollywood.